Well, that was a heck of a Monday Night Raw last night in Atlantic City. Lots to talk about, as SummerSlam was really the focus of that show. You wouldn't know that there's a Saturday night main event in Madison Square Garden, but those Saturday night main event half PLEs are kind of throwaway shows anyway. Most of the time, they are outside of the John Cena retirement. They are mostly just forgettable, overpriced televised events. And we're really focused on SummerSlam, as they should be. It's a 2-night event. It is their second biggest event of the year, and they are trying to make it as big as possible and start to put a card together already, because we only have a month, and then we'll be into SummerSlam. And they put together 2 huge matches last night. One unexpected, one I predicted with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, which is why Seth beat Braun Breaker at the event on Saturday night, a Night of Champions, and many people were very confused about that, angry about that, not sure what they're doing. Well, they were preparing Seth Rollins for Roman Reigns, and we'll talk about that promo. That was just a blast to listen to. I know that a lot of people some people are really down on it, saying it was 2 old guys saying we're old, and it's like, no, they're 2 grizzled veterans. Did you not pay attention? They have history. I love how they immediately played on that history and went through some of the biggest moments that I actually went through on this show the night before. So I loved it. I thought it was really well done. They have unfinished business, and we'll talk about that as the show progresses. We also saw Brock Lesnar appear, kick Oba Femi in the nuts, and Oba Femi then challenges Brock Lesnar to a match at SummerSlam. Oba Femi forgoes, at least for the time being, the championship match he is owed as winner of the King of the Ring, and challenges Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar accepts, but under one condition: Hell in a Cell in Minneapolis against Oba Femi, that we all know Oba Femi's winning. There's just no chance he loses, I don't think. And is that Brock's last match? Could very well be. You would think. It's very poetic, ending in Minneapolis, ending at SummerSlam in a high stakes Hell in a Cell match. It's very possible he goes out that way, but I wouldn't totally rule out that he decides to stay until WrestleMania 43 for another one big payday, and then calls it a career. So until it's official, I wouldn't count Brock Lesnar in the retirement category yet. Many of us did and got burned by it at WrestleMania. So we shall see. So much to talk about, including Lyra Valkyria's promo that I really enjoyed. It took me a couple of times to watch it for me to enjoy it. At first, it seemed a little hokey. Her hair and her face seemed very produced. But the more I watched it and listened to her, I started to come around, and we'll talk about her promo, albeit it was a pre-taped promo. We'll have to see if she's able to translate this to a live format. Sometimes those pre-taped promos don't translate well because you have unlimited takes, right? You can screw up, retake, reshoot, and when you're live, it's a different animal. So hopefully this translates into in person for Lyra. But I'll talk about her promo as well. Some Danhausen stuff and the jersey and all the rest, and Dom Mysterio. So much to talk about. And what I thought was it was a good Raw, an eventful Raw. Not all is perfect, as we all know. There were some down points, and we'll of course cover those as well. But first, welcome to the show. This is the WWE podcast. We have a new logo. We have a new look. We are here nearly every day, whether it's a retro show or a new review show. NXT is still an open show. If anybody would like to cover NXT on a weekly basis, you can do that. Send me an email with a 5-minute, essentially a audition tape, 5-minute rant on wrestling, or 5-minute historical piece about wrestling, whatever you would like it to be, and send it to me at mailbag@wwepodcast.com, and I will be in touch with you. So let's get into it with Monday Night Raw. Came to us from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Oba Femi comes out, and he told fans that their reception was fine for a ruler, but now they have to give him a reaction benefiting befitting of a king. And they chanted Oba's name, and he said, very good, very, very good. And he said he made Jey Uso a believer, and then shifted the focus and said that he has a choice to be, there's a choice to be made. And is he going to choose the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam? But that's when Brock Lesnar's music hit, and boy, did he get a reaction. Those that are down on Brock Lesnar, down on the company for bringing him back. First of all, that fits right in the narrative of they don't give a damn about anything and they will just do whatever it takes to make money. Bringing back Brock Lesnar, despite his potential issues being involved in the civil lawsuit with Janelle Grant and Vince McMahon and being tied up into all that, that has kind of gone away, is it not? People just want to see Brock, and if you don't believe me, just watch the reaction. Listen to the reaction. He is a draw. He is a star, despite all of his issues, despite all of his potential involvement in the Janelle Grant issue and civil suit. Who gives a shit? That's the reaction from fans. That is the reaction from fans. And if you doubt me, again, just use your eyes and ears. It is very much in line with how fans treat other stars of other genres who have issues, domestic issues, have been actually not just accused, but prosecuted and found guilty of domestic violence and battery. They're caught on video. And what do fans do, especially in the NFL? Forgive them. I don't give a damn. Just my team, just as long as my team wins, I don't care. Same logic here with Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, that doesn't mean it's good or it doesn't make it okay that these fans are just accepting of people who do things that are horrible, but it's the culture we live in. It's, I guess, part of just the collective human reaction to stars when they just perform well or show up in your city. You don't care. So, okay. So we have Brock Lesnar come out, and he stood in the ring, and he apologized, saying he didn't watch the show. Everyone knows he doesn't watch it. And he said it was a hell of a feat for Oba to win King of the Ring. And he said he won it the King of the Ring many years ago. I think it was 2002. And he relies on Heyman to tell him what happens in WWE. And he said that Heyman told him that when he's not there, Oba calls him a coward and a bitch. And Lesnar said to Heyman also that he was told that Oba cuts a great promo. And Brock said he never really could do that. That's why he's got Paul Heyman, which is great. That's just so true. It's so true. It's just, I mean, that's Brock Lesnar going out there without a script, which is the best Brock Lesnar we can have. He's never been one to fit the performance of a script. He just has to be himself. You don't give Brock anything. You just say, here's where we're going. You fill in 95% of it. And for Brock to be that comfortable at this point, it's fun to see. Self-aware, emotional intelligence, all the rest. It just shows so many levels of likability, really. And he said, though, you know what they say, that talk shit, get hit. After he heard that, he's calling him a coward and a bitch. And that's when he kicked Oba right in the nuts and put him down with an F5. And he left, and then Oba stood up, got a microphone, and said, that's what Lesnar does. He shows up, F5s and leaves. And Oba challenged Brock to a match after calling him a bitch. And Oba said they could finish it once and for all. And that's when, as I mentioned earlier, Lesnar said, one condition, Hell in a Cell. All right. So Hell in a Cell it is. And nobody, I think, expected that. I know I didn't. I didn't hear anybody call for that. But this nearly guarantees that this is not going to be a 5 to 6 to 7 minute match. At least I don't think it would be. Hell in a Cell, by definition, almost requires that you have at minimum 10 to 12, dare I say 15 minutes. These men are capable of it. Why? How? Number one, you have Brock Lesnar, who has been in the business, at least off and on, for the better part of a quarter century. You have Oba Femi, who is ultra talented, young, still has a lot of work to do, but he's in a good position from a fan perspective. He's got the support of the crowd wholeheartedly. And they work a slower pace. So if you're going to work a slower pace with a veteran in there, you can do a lot more with Hell in a Cell. The structure warrants that you use it. You can do crazy stuff. The feats of strength that they can show inside that match is going to be incredible. If it is not more than 10 minutes, we have been robbed of our time. This should be more than 10 minutes. Dare I say 15. So I don't think anybody saw that coming. I'm not going to complain about it. But see how special Hell in a Cell can feel when it's not built into the PLE schedule. See how it comes out of nowhere and it's warranted. When it's warranted, it feels so much more special. See what it does? It's great. This matchup or this rivalry, you could argue, is definitely deserving of it. It's the third one. Blow-offs usually have some kind of extra stipulation, no DQ, steel cage, lumberjack, Inferno. You can do table TLC matches and Hell in a Cell. So I expect blood, violence, feats of strength. What I hope happens in this match, or more specifically, what I hope does not happen, is that they have an over-reliance on kickouts of finishes. The problem with that is, while I want that to happen, it would make no sense if for some reason it took 7 F5s to put Oba down in the second match, but then it only takes him 3 to get put down in this match if Brock were to win, for example. So you almost have to go higher unless you want to use the structure to deliver damage to justify why fewer finishers are needed. You have weapons, you have the cell itself, maybe they get outside the cell. But my only hope is that they don't rely on double-digit finishes and kickouts of finishes to make this match exciting. We'll see. But I have no issue with the actual principle of Hell in a Cell here. None. This is I think an excellent decision. And everybody complaining and worried that Oba Femi's career is over and his WrestleMania victory meant nothing. How you feeling now? Especially when you know he's got a very, very, very good chance to win the third match. Okay, let's continue. And some of this analysis from other podcasters said, well, that was unexpected. Perhaps it will be explained, but I'm not sure why Oba's character would issue the challenge for SummerSlam when he could have called for the match tonight or on Saturday night's main event at MSG. I don't think they've ever established that King or Queen of the Ring winner couldn't wait till after SummerSlam to challenge. I hope the idea isn't for Oba to work the Hell in a Cell match and challenge for a world championship on back-to-back nights. I've heard that. I hope not either. I don't need Oba and Roman Reigns. Not now. I am a big fan of letting things simmer. I continue to say that because people are feeling robbed. Hey guys, you know you don't need to get that right now, right? It's an ace in the hole. WWE is if you don't think they know that you want it or that it won't be a big match, you're fooling yourself or you don't know wrestling. Now, I don't have a lot of faith in creative, especially if TKO is running it. We've seen what they've done, what they believe in. Their strategy for creative is sometimes horrific. Their incessant need to include celebrities to make it feel like storylines can be better or to try to improve them is completely misguided. But at least sometimes the basics here can't even go over the head of TKO management. And so they know they have this matchup in the hole. I have no issue with Oba skipping it because Brock Lesnar is the one that came back to interrupt Oba when he was about to make the decision. And now Oba's deciding, okay, screw it. I want you at SummerSlam. I'll forego my championship match for now. But double duty? No, I would concur with that. We don't need double duty from Oba Femi. Overexposure. There's also a built-in escape or reason for Oba Femi to not win the championship, because even if he win, lose, or draw for Brock Lesnar, if he faces Brock Lesnar on night 1, win, lose, or draw, it's unlikely he would win night 2. And then you could claim, well, he was already battered, beaten, and bruised in a Hell in a Cell match. I don't need double duty. No. I would rule that out. And I think that right now, Brock Lesnar, Hell in a Cell would be more than enough. Plus, he'd have to have double the segments to build for double the for 2 matches. I mean, he'd have to be cutting promos with Roman and Brock. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense, but we will see. So there was a bit of a slight by Paul Heyman towards Austin Theory, who interrupted Heyman backstage. He said he didn't know Heyman was there and he didn't answer his calls. And he said, "You didn't know I was here. Well, now you know." And he walked away. So interesting. Could Heyman be leaving the Vision? We'll see. Okay. We then have Ethan Page and Rey Mysterio. And the match went 10 minutes with Rey Mysterio beating Ethan Page. And he beat him by hitting the 619. Frog Splash, got the victory. So Ethan Page, while he's a newcomer to the roster, has lost to Rey Mysterio. And I've seen people complain about this. Rey Mysterio is a legend. They're not going to do anything with Rey at this point. He's not going to be world champion. No, I don't think ever again. He's pushing 50. I get it. But there's no shame in losing to a guy that he's not only a legend in the business, the most famous luchador of all time, but he's also still somehow nearly at the top of his game. The dude doesn't age. So it's not as if he's a legend, an old timer that is past his prime and looks like he's past his prime. Rey is not. So sure. Okay. Ethan Page lost, even though he's the new guy. So what? If this kills Ethan Page's career, then he was never meant to rise in the first place. If you can't survive a loss to Rey Mysterio, your career's doomed anyway. So I'm not concerned about this. The match was fine for what it was, nearly 11 minutes. And Ethan Page hasn't been winning a lot lately, but people haven't got to really know him yet either. So to most people, Ethan Page, most people, if you ask a wrestling fan, a casual fan, they would have no idea who Ethan Page is. They would say, wait, who? Wait, that kind is familiar. Show me a picture. And even with a picture, some people would be like, I don't recognize him. He's nowhere near where he should be, or rather not should, but could be, and may well end up being. So that means he's losing, fine, but he's losing in the minds of fans for a guy that they aren't even paying attention to anyway. Not yet. Okay. We then have, let's see here. J.D. McDonough and Rey Mysterio come into Danhausen's lab, and McDonough said he needed to get uncursed because he has a match. And Dom found a frame and had a message that said it was for Danhausen and from the New York Knicks. And Dom said they could make Danhausen come to them. And McDonough said they should trash the lab first. All right. So Danhausen wants to be cursed and then trash the lab, whatever. Okay. So Joe Hendry was in the ring and crowd gave him a nice reception. Not overwhelming, but warm. And, he introduced the Street Profits, the World Tag Team Champions, and they thanked the fans for how long they've reacted for winning the tag titles. And Ford said he was sweating and then thanked Seth Rollins, and Ford closed by thanking Hendry and said he and Dawkins set up the Hendry song. Okay. So Hendry tries to be a little comical with some of the music, and Austin Theory interrupts. And Theory comes out and took issue with Hendry singing about him and John Cena. And he recalled beating Cena at WrestleMania and said he spoke with Adam Pearce, and there will be a rematch for the World Tag Team titles next week. I don't know if I'd bring up Austin Theory beating John Cena at WrestleMania. I know that it was brought up by Hendry, so it's okay if Austin Theory gives some kind of kickback to that statement. But despite the fact that Austin Theory beat John Cena at WrestleMania a number of years ago, that was what should I call it? The most losing victorious outcome that he's ever had. There's no way sometimes you can lose in a victory. He found a way to lose in victory. A lot of it due to the fact that promo that Cena cut on Theory destroyed Theory. And then after that, Theory did nothing. Theory did a whole bunch of nothing after he ends up beating John Cena. And it was really the downfall for Austin Theory ever since that moment. So, okay. I also still don't like his haircut. The dude had a great head of hair. I don't know what he's doing. He wanted to mix it up, I guess, but sometimes it doesn't work. All right. So then we had, after that, Dawkins questioned whether Braun Breaker would be ready, and Theory said the dog would be off the leash. And that was that. So, Hendry versus Austin Theory was the matchup one-on-one. 3 minutes, 50 seconds, where Joe Hendry beat Austin Theory. And that is, according to these notes, of television time. And I would concur with that because in reality, if you were in the arena, it's probably much more than that. And Joe Hendry wins, which is nice to see. I mean, Austin Theory isn't doing much a whole about a lot of anything other than losing. And Joe Hendry needs to get back into the minds of fans. They've really fumbled his debut on the main roster big time. So getting Hendry a little bit of momentum, associating with the tag team champions, having a little bit of fun sing-along time, this is kind of what he needs to be. There always seems to be some kind of character that needs to have some, like a guitar. Remember, Elias, most famously, although he was a heel character. So, all right, moving on. We have Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez show up, and Morgan was stressed about Io coming after her title and the curse that Danhausen put on her, and Rodriguez told her not to worry because she had her back. And Morgan thanked Rodriguez, and Io Sky comes out, and she said she was happy to be coming back to Raw as the queen, and said she would beat Liv to win the crown and will beat her again at SummerSlam to win the Women's World Championship. Liv comes out and spoke as she walked to the ring and said that Sky didn't win fair and square. And she talked about being cursed by Danhausen and blamed that as the reason why she lost. And then Morgan said Sky pissed her off, and she mentioned Stephanie Becerra and questioned when she was last seen. And Morgan also said Rhea Ripley hasn't been seen, or rather been the same, since she faced her. And Morgan climbed on the apron and said she'd win at SummerSlam and remain the greatest women's champion of all time. Raquel and Roxanne showed up to the apron. They went after Sky, who cleared them from the ring. And Morgan approached Sky, and Rodriguez returned to the apron until Sky knocked her down. And then we had Morgan try to take advantage, but Io ducked the clothesline and put her down with a German. And then Sky followed up with a kick to Morgan's head, and she went for her finish, but Raquel cut her off. And then they put the boots down to her, and we have Morgan put Sky down with the Oblivion. So, yeah. Okay, so Io Sky getting a bit of the numbers game, a very tried and true method from heel faction. Do I think Io Sky wins? Possible. I don't want to put out official prediction yet, but Io Sky is beloved. She has stuck around through thick and thin. She burst onto the scene, or at least the main event scene, a couple of years ago. She's had some incredible matches. She has shown at WrestleMania what she can do. The promo thing isn't really a problem for her anymore. She's got energy. She's got longevity. Fans know what she's capable of. She's got everything, all the tools. And we know what kind of champion she can be and has been. There's really no reason not to put the belt on her, other than the fact that Liv Morgan is also a pretty damn good champion too. And in her own right has really made a name for herself over the last couple of years. particularly with the Dom story and Rhea Ripley. That's where things really heated up for her. And ever since then, she's really been just awesome. She had the injury there, but I mean, she is at a peak level as well. So not an easy pick. It's not as if you have an old guard and the new guard coming in. Both women are kind of in the same place in their career, peaking right now. Both women have a lot of momentum. They've found themselves. Tough call. To me, they've kind of paralleled each other. So LA Knight, Jimmy Uso was then the next matchup, as if we've never seen LA Knight face any of the Samoans before. So a very fresh matchup here. Jimmy Uso beats LA Knight in nearly 12 minutes. How? Well, a little bit of hanky-panky, because we had Jay yelling to the referee that Knight was pulling Jimmy's hair. LA Knight teased, throwing Jimmy at Jay, and then Knight tossed Jimmy back in the ring and hit Jay with a kick. LA Knight returned to the ring and put Jimmy down with a reverse DDT, and then LA hit Jimmy with a top rope elbow, and Jay climbed on the apron, and the Knight punched Jay off the apron, and then Jimmy rolled up for the 3 count. Then, let's see, afterward, we had Knight punch Jimmy while the ref was raising his hand. Jay comes in the ring, beat Knight down, and then Solo Sikoa shows up and hits Jimmy with a Samoan spike, and he takes off through the crowd after Knight then hits Jay with a BFT. A lot going on, a lot of back and forth, finishers, who goes on top, who's standing tall, interference. It ends, the lasting image, with Solo Sikoa hitting the Samoan spike on Jimmy. He goes through the crowd. LA Knight hits a BFT in standing tall as LA Knight and Solo Sikoa exchange glances, and there's talk now of maybe putting them together. I don't know. On one hand, it would be something different for LA Knight to do. At least align with a Samoan. On the other hand, he cannot get out of this Samoan universe. He is he's a planet orbiting around the sun of Samoans. Like all the Samoans are the sun. They've kind of melted into the sun. And LA Knight is just this planet orbiting that sun that he cannot escape. That's the way it has felt for years for LA Knight. So if he were to align with Solo, that would mean that he is once again kind of reasserting himself back into the Samoan rivalry, as Solo is now attacking Jimmy and Jay. They're showing up on SmackDown to attack him. We've now got LA Knight and Solo potentially aligning. Even if they don't, I mean, they may end up... I don't even know what to do with LA Knight. I really don't know what to do other than get him out of this storyline. I don't want to hear the word or the phrase or the uttering of these letters, the bloodline, ever again from LA Knight. And it's really incredible and a testament to the fan support for LA Knight that they have continued to cheer him for years despite this. It shows you the commitment the fans have towards LA Knight. So, I don't hate it. This is not a bad story. It's just rinse and repeat for LA Knight. All right. So, Cole announced that Gunther and Nick Aldis were sent home and that Aldis has been placed on administrative leave pending a further investigation. And Cole said that Adam Pearce will run both brands in the meantime. That was from a shove that Aldis gave Gunther, and Gunther grabbed Aldis by the collar, and then they got pulled apart. I mean, I don't know what there is to investigate. It's all on camera. Like, what are they investigating? I don't know. What color shirt that Aldis grabbed? I mean, I don't know. There's nothing to investigate. It's all on camera, but fine. What they're doing, potentially moving towards a Gunther-Aldis matchup at SummerSlam. Do I dare say that? Instead of a Gunther and Brock Lesnar matchup at WrestleMania and SummerSlam, which I think would have been ultra entertaining, we could be getting Aldis and Gunther as Nick Aldis potentially comes out of his retirement. So that seems to be where they're headed because Brock Lesnar is now tied up for SummerSlam. There's no Gunther. Or at least there's no slot for him to face Brock Lesnar because he's tied up with Oba Femi. And I have to say, if Brock Lesnar does continue past SummerSlam, and he may, maybe it's a game time decision for him, I am very much looking forward to him getting away from the Oba Femi story. Not that it's been bad. To me, the matchups have been underwhelming compared to most people's analysis. I'm not trying to be just a contrarian. I just feel that they've been underwhelming and way too reliant on finishers. Much like a lot of today's matchups, but it's almost a parody of those matchups where all they do is hit finishers. It's as if a 7-year-old has gotten control of your video game and all they're doing is hitting finishers. That's the way it's felt for Oba and Brock, and I get the very superficial entertainment value of it, but to me, maybe the Hell in a Cell can redeem it for me, but it's been underwhelming from that perspective, but I am looking forward to Brock getting away from him if he continues his career and moves on to Gunther. Perhaps. Okay. Jimmy and Jay returned backstage and found Jacob Fatu. Jimmy asked him where the hell he'd been all night. And Fatu, he said he only takes orders from the OTC. And he said that Roman ordered him to go to SmackDown and finish what the Usos started. Jay wanted to go to SmackDown with Fatu. And Jay said he's bringing gold back to the bloodline. And Fatu said he'd see him there then. Okay, so they're getting along. Lyra Valkyria video promo aired, and she wore a sweater. She had her hair down in front of her eyes, no makeup, which was kind of. And some of you are going to say, "Oh, that's shaming." No, she looks scary without makeup. I mean, so, okay, here's going to really anger some of you, but it's just calling a spade a spade. She, without makeup, at least in this lighting and this setting, and maybe this is the purpose of it, and this is the intent, whatever it is, it's the same result. She loses a lot of femininity without that makeup. Now, I'm not a proponent of all women should wear so much. No, I actually usually don't like a ton of makeup, but it was striking. Like it was a lot different. Very much masculine look to her. And that's not a bad thing. You know why? This is a shift, a seismic shift in her character. And she did a great job here. Again, initially I thought this was hokey, very produced, and it was to a certain extent very produced, but here's the context. She asked why everyone is on her back about attacking Bayley. And she said she let her anger get the better of her one time, but she'd been the bigger person for over a year. She said she bit her tongue and carried the load while sacrificing for Bayley. And she said everyone knows she could do it by herself because she was the first women's Intercontinental Champion. She said she never wanted to hurt Bayley, but it felt so good just to get close, just to close the gap a little bit. This was good. Because it firmly puts Valkyria in the heel category now. There's no more, well, maybe, no. She is. Her look's different. And again, I said she looks more masculine, but that's not a bad thing if you're trying to be a heel in the women's division. It helps Bayley, really maybe more than anyone. Maybe Bayley is the biggest benefactor here because Bayley's been doing a whole lot of nothing burger for years. So this is really good for Bayley. And I mean, both women can work, so their matchups are going to be fine. So I enjoyed this a lot. I just do have a bit of a pause for concern about how this is going to translate into a live audience setting instead of being able to cut and retake and get it just how you want it, like just so when a camera's there backstage. But I'm fine with it. This was good. So Maxine Dupree was then shown walking past Chad Gable. She stopped, backed up, and said she meant every word she said last week. As she said she was sorry about the way she handled it, Gable cut her off and told her she didn't need to apologize to him for anything. He told her to focus on her match and wished her good luck. So I guess that's it for Chad and Maxine. No big follow-up here for Maxine and Chad after Maxine had a breakout last week, a breakout performance, a memorable performance last week talking to Chad Gable. But Raquel then comes out and faces Maxine for a shot at the Women's Intercontinental Championship. That was on the line here. Short match with Raquel beating Maxine in 3.5 minutes after hitting the Tejada bomb for the victory. And crowd wasn't really into this, but also, again, it kind of shuts down any hopes for Maxine Dupree fans after, again, the breakout performance last week when she talked to Chad and didn't accept his apology. So a bit disappointing if you're a Maxine fan, thinking maybe this is going to carry over into this week. Well, it didn't. She put to bed everything with Chad backstage very quickly and then lost the match in 3.5 minutes. So Maxine is back to where she was. I mean, at least for the night here, I see no signs of anything changing for Maxine for the moment. But Danhausen then returns to his lab, found it trashed. Liv Morgan shut up laughing and talked about how she trashed the lab. And Danhausen asked what he did to her, and she said she stole $100,000, electrocuted, or he stole $100,000, electrocuted JD, and cursed her. And he said, "Oh yeah," which was funny. And she said she would find a way to make it right, or Judgment Day would continue to make his life hell. And he said, "Okay." So I don't know. I found that very funny. This is a good segment. Good segment for Danhausen. Chad Gable and JD McDonough then had a match. Match went 11.5 minutes with Chad beating JD, which is the right call, after he hooked in the ankle lock and got the victory in 11.5 minutes. And Dom returned to the ring to check on McDonough, and he opened the briefcase that was at ringside, and it shot powder or flour in their face. I don't know, whatever it was. And then Danhausen took the Knicks jersey off Dom, ran to the stage, and Raquel Rodriguez came out and attacked Danhausen from behind and got the jersey back. And so McDonough loses, but Danhausen getting the victory is the right call. I've seen some analysis, I'm reading it here, that they need to be more consistent with McDonough. One week he's booked like a pushover, the next he has a really competitive match. The love fest for Gable seemed to end with this crowd. The fans liked him, but he didn't get the type of reaction he'd been getting since the El Grande Americano. Yeah, well, here's the problem. You need to capitalize immediately. Fans don't have any patience anymore. They've lost whatever patience they had. Whatever little was left is gone. You need to jump on it quickly. That doesn't mean you need to make that person world champion the next day, but you need to just have them in consistent segments, or even a quick 60-second video package, a video promo of them sitting down, talking about what's next for them, what they're trying to do in the next 6 months to a year, what they want to focus on, what they've learned, something. And Chad has been on this apology tour that makes him feel very soft. We get it. Now it's been several weeks and you're still on this apology tour. Stop it. We know you're okay. Fans have respected you. Even if you didn't go and apologize to everyone, no one would be saying, well, you should apologize. No, absolutely not. But they felt the need to go on this tour for Chad, and now, without a lot of follow-up, they're reaping what they sowed here. You take a culture that can't pay attention for more than 5 seconds, mediocre follow-up for Chad Gable, and what do you get? You get a mediocre reaction. This is exactly what you expect. Now, they could reignite it if you want to show some of the mask versus mask El Grande Americano match that started this whole thing for Chad, and remind them what this meant and what he did. Then you might be able to kind of stir the fans back up for him. But right now, for Chad, it quickly cooled off. All right. So, Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu are in the ring. And let's see, we had Roman Reigns did his acknowledge thing, and Seth Rollins immediately comes out and says, "Hello, my brother," and said he and Reigns have been tied together for 14 years, dating back to the formation of the Shield. And He pointed at the World Championship and said Reigns had something that belonged to him. It's time to collect. And Reigns said Rollins is at the back of the line. He doesn't had done anything to earn a shot at him, and they could play that game with the rest of the locker room, but he is always at the front of the line. And Rollins said that he owns Reigns. Not owes, but owns. And he talked about WrestleMania 31. He talked about WrestleMania 40. He talked about WrestleMania 41, where he pinned Reigns in that triple threat match with CM Punk. He talked about that he owned Reigns since the day he put a steel chair in his back and ended the Shield. And that drew some boos. It's amazing we're still talking about that. An iconic moment. One that I'm glad they're talking about. And I was concerned about with Reigns and Rollins that they wouldn't pull on the history as much as they should. And immediately off the bat, they did. It's exactly what you need to do. And maybe continue to drive it home. And it's just a way to, the bare minimum, it's a launching point for this rivalry. If you knew nothing about these men, if you just came in from outer space and got plopped on the earth and said, here's the program, here's pro wrestling, you were told what pro wrestling is, here's these two guys, understand the story. You could understand the story pretty plainly, even if you didn't know who they were. You'd go, wow, okay, they have a history. This guy doesn't like this guy. Looks like one of them stabbed the other one in the back, and they've had interactions over the last 14 years here and there, some big moments at WrestleMania. I wish they mentioned Royal Rumble 2022. They didn't. Maybe they'll get to it. But this was just a very solid way to kick it off. So, continuing, Rollins said he wasn't there to ask Reigns for anything. He was there to give him something that no one else could. And he said he was giving Roman a chance to do something he'd never done. Beat him. And he said this might be Roman's last chance. He said they're closer to the end than they are the beginning, and said there's a new generation coming, and this may be their last chance to do this dance. And Rollins said Reigns will go down as one of the greatest of all time, and said that they should just give Roman his own Hall of Fame show, and said that he might even be there to induct him. And Rollins said that if Reigns doesn't accept the challenge, then he may never escape the ghost of Seth Rollins. What do you say, brother, for old time's sake? And Reigns said it had been a long time since he heard any truth come out of that mouth of his little brother, but Rollins was right in this case. He said he doesn't want to beat Seth. He needs to. And said he needed his entire family to see him beat Rollins, and that it's exactly what he's going to do at SummerSlam. He accepted, and Roman dropped the mic as Fatu and Reigns exited the ring, and that was it. So we still have, 4 weeks to build this? A lot you can do. You don't even need to have them both on the show every week. You don't think a 2-minute video package could do a lot of the work? Video packages can do a lot of the lifting. Not that these two men aren't capable of cutting promos on each other. We know they can. There's a lot there. Roman's much better than he used to be. Seth Rollins is very good. But the history of these two needs to be showcased. Much like they fumbled, bumbled, and screwed up it's impossible, but they did screw up Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes with all the history they have. Let's not do it to these two. These two have a very storied history. There's a lot of footage you can pull. Put that video production team to work. Put a 2-minute masterpiece together. Remember how important and how awesome those video packages used to be? It would be half the fun sometimes. In the Attitude Era, especially Ruthless Aggression, where they really hammered home how these two men or two women or tag teams or whatever came together. And the video packages that were done were aired before the match at the pay-per-view. And they were often brand new. They weren't recycled from the show before. A lot of them were just made especially for that specific segment, and then you never saw them again. Also, remember how good the music choices were for WWE, the licensing agreements they got. Some of those theme songs that WWE chose. How about Always by Saliva? My God. It's one of the best of all time, in my opinion. Of course, My Way by Limp Bizkit. That one will never be topped. It's like the peak of the peak. We all know My Way. But Always from Saliva really sticks out to me. There's a bunch of others. I'm sure we could go down the list, but that's just the one that comes to mind at the moment. It's just a different time. I know it's a different time. We're always pining for the days of yesteryear, but sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And for Roman and Seth, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Do they need to cut some good promos on each other? Yes. I don't even want to see them throw a punch at each other. I don't want to see a punch thrown between these two before they hear the bell ring at SummerSlam. They don't need to. I don't want to see it. Now, with the returning CM Punk, the returning, probably Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre floating out there. There's a lot to be considering here, because many are predicting that it's going to be with Cody Rhodes next week and Sami Zayn, that CM Punk appears and screws Cody, leading to a Cody Rhodes CM Punk matchup at SummerSlam. That seems to be the ticket. I would probably concur with that. Or at least a triple threat with Cody, Sami, and Punk in a triple threat for the WWE Undisputed Championship. Very possible. I know that CM Punk is not on SmackDown, but who the hell cares? There's no brand split. There just isn't. I mean, so you could have that happen. Drew could also interfere. He has an issue with Cody, just always seemingly does by default. Randy Orton, of course, you could throw him right back in. He hasn't been seen since WrestleMania. It's been a hot minute, 4 months. A lot you could do. But I expect that Cody Rhodes is going to be attacked and screwed over by someone during his matchup with Sami. So that'll do it for me on this Raw review. Thank you, everybody. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. We also have a Facebook page, the WWE podcast. We have a Instagram that needs to be updated. We have TikTok. We have YouTube. We have X. Search us out. It's all the same logo. It's all the WWE podcast. And ad-free options on Patreon as well. So thanks, everybody, and we'll be back with a video and some retro shows coming to you tomorrow. Until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.